Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. If you clicked on this video, I guess you either really like me, which thanks, or you're also curious about like what happened to H3H3, what happened to Ethan Klein, right? Like look at these views. This is H3H3 Productions. This is where a lot of people would know him from. This is sort of 11 years ago. This was sort of one of the peaks of his career, I guess a peak of his career, maybe the peak of his career. Obviously I've sorted by most popular, but these views are insane. So all from around this 10-year period ago. Vape Nation,
29 million.
this video with iDubbbz in it,
22 million.
Kissing pranks,
16 million.
So how do we get from the H3H3 Ethan Klein of 29 million views Vape Nation to, I don't know if you've been seeing this recently, but the Ethan Klein of late that posts videos on social media and it gets 5 comments and it's the same, you know, paid member commenting five times. How do we get from this to that? How do we get from this to that? That's what we're here to find out about today. So let's get a taster of what started the career.
$4.20 every day.
This is a good bit.
Every day cures cancer. Smoking cures cancer. No, it's good. Trust. Vape Nation. Appreciate it.
Yeah, so my sense of humor has changed a little bit since 10 years ago. This is still good though, still good, still funny. 10 years ago, I would have been dying on the floor laughing. This would have had me click and like and share, sending it to all my little friends. But now it might just be exposure, you know? I'm very familiar with it, so it's not so funny to me anymore. But it's good, it's good. This is the beginning of the story. So obviously we're not going to go into every video he's ever made because that would just be absolutely insane. But if you go onto his H3H3 Productions channel and you click on most popular, you can see they're all around this like 9-10 year period ago. A lot of them are him hanging out with iDubbbz, different YouTubers, Filthy Frank you can see there, making silly commentary, making silly parody videos, silly joke videos. And it's fun stuff. There's even a period in their early career where one of the people that they reacted to and made fun of in one of their videos tried to sue them. Matt Hoss. He tried to sue them for copyright infringement. They fought that. And they won. And they actually, as a result of winning that lawsuit, established precedent on this sort of copyright issue. The Klein versus Hoss case is something that went on to be quoted in cases like it in the future, which, believe it or not, will come up again later in the story. But just to briefly touch on here, we're just going to see them joyously celebrating their victory in being able to retain their free speech.
After a year and a half of doing depositions, filing summaries, motions, hundreds of thousands of dollars later, we slammed this bitch, dude!
That's great, dude. That's a victory for free speech. I'm happy for you. It's a fun video to watch you guys having fun. This, again, peak H3H3. Some of the peak H3H3. Winning victories for the little guy, standing up for little YouTubers. Everybody loved it. So what happened? Well, from my perspective, the next step in Ethan's career was the H3H3 podcast. After the massive boom of his H3H3 Productions channel and just like everything he uploaded turned into gold and getting millions and millions of views, he started the H3H3 podcast to mixed reviews. Some of the episodes people really didn't like. So this is sort of the beginning of what I'm going to call just like the boom and bust cycle of the Ethan Klein. Ethan Klein's boom and bust cycle. Now that his career has gone on long enough for like this more than 10 years, like 15 years long career, a cycle and a pattern has started to emerge. And I think you'll start to see that. So there's the early boom of H3H3 Productions. And then there's the sort of middling bust of the early H3 podcast. I'm not going to go into many of the podcast episodes because it would just be agonizing. There's some fine stuff in there. The main problem is that Ethan just isn't a very good host in terms of like hosting guests. He's a fine host in terms of hosting his own show where he is the center of attention, but he's not great in terms of hosting other guests for a litany of reasons, some of which I think you'll see in this clip here, where he's interviewing Bill Burr.
Probably heard this a lot, that people say that dentists are like high rate of suicide. Is there something to that? Have you heard that?
Yeah, I think everybody heard that growing up, but I never knew one that... No,
maybe it's not even true.
I've never known one that killed himself.
So, yeah. Did you... Well, it sounds like it was stressful, but not suicidal.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah, he never killed himself.
Yeah,
if that's what you're asking.
Nobody killed themselves, yeah.
It's just like so far like a bit of an awkward vibe, right? I don't know if I, as a guest coming onto someone's podcast, if I would think it's awesome that their wife was sitting there. It's fine. Like, it's fine. I don't think I'd have a problem with it, but I think it would make for like a bit of like a strained dynamic potentially.
And he also had a zillion kids, so I mean, yeah.
Really? How many siblings do you have?
I don't know, dude. The internet's too fucking weird to give out all that information.
Oh, you don't even want to say how many because you're afraid that it will
Yeah, by all means,
compromise your
keep talking
privacy.
about it. Is there any way you can cut this out? I'm honest, dude. Like,
seriously?
Yeah, no, dude. There's fucking lunatics out there.
Okay.
Whoa.
Off the air, I'll tell you.
All right.
Jeez. I love how surprised he is. Jeez.
Well,
It's
you
actually-
I think that's the moment that I really wanted to show you. If someone's feeling uncomfortable about their privacy on your show, don't push it and don't be defensive about it. It's just a super weird vibe. This isn't like a moral judgment on Ethan at this point, but this is just to say that he's not a very good host in terms of like hosting other people. He's not very perceptive in terms of reading the room. It's just not a good idea to have like a big celebrity on like this, and the celebrity is like, you know, expressing some concerns about not wanting to talk about his private life, and you keep pushing it and then making them uncomfortable. It's all of this to say is that this is why the early H3H3 podcast was sort of controversial and a little bit of a flop when compared to his original channel. So you can see why there'd be some mixed reactions after the early H3H3 podcast got started up. It's a little awkward. There's just some awkward moments, really. I guess that's the thing. There's some awkward moments. So, boom, H3H3 Productions kind of bust with the H3 podcast. Not bust in the way that it wasn't successful. Like, it was successful enough to continue. Just in terms of the audience impression of H3 Ethan Klein. After the H3H3 Productions era and the early podcast era, there was perhaps one of the most iconic eras of Ethan Klein, the Frenemies era.
I just feel like you either want to like be me or be in me, you know, like one
What?
of the two. I feel.
I don't want to be either of those
I think
things.
one or the other.
Do you
I
think
don't
they're
think this...
Trisha?
Wait, not yet. It's not dripping. Don't we want
There
to?
we go!
No. Wait, why is it doing that?
This era really blew up again. So after the early podcast being a bit middling and having mixed reactions, this show was massive. It was huge. It had massive views. People really loved it. Different audiences from Ethan's normal audiences were talking about it and coming in to watch it. So it was really great for his brand. The podcast itself was just Ethan and Trisha Paytas just hanging out together and talking about like pop culture or internet drama, these sorts of things, and bringing their completely different perspectives. Obviously, Trisha Paytas is like sometimes on another planet and just very energetic, and you know, she self-admittedly has a lot of issues that she deals with. And Ethan, at least this iteration of Ethan, was like this sort of the dry straight man. His side of the screen is very dark, and her side of the screen is very pink, obviously, as you can see. So this was really popular. This blew up, and it is kind of iconic. And yeah, there's some problems with it. Like in terms of, in retrospect, I think Trisha Paytas was not treated very well. At the time, though, I was distracted by how entertaining it was, I'll be honest. And we'll see if we can find some clips in here that will sort of exemplify that dynamism that came from the two opposites sort of having to... And, you know, it wasn't easy. The show didn't last that long. Eventually it got cancelled because they kept having falling out after falling out after falling out because they are so different. They acknowledged as a part of the project that it was sort of doomed, and they wanted to just make as much out of it as they could while it lasted. And to their credit, they did.
I low-key got really sad about the Holocaust this weekend. Moses explained to me what actually happened, and I like started crying.
You just found out about the Holocaust?
I had no idea that they like tricked them into going into showers and like killed millions of them that way.
Moses is Ela, who is Ethan's wife. It's her brother, and I'm not sure if at this point they were already, but they do. Trisha and Moses do go on to date and get married and have kids. I haven't followed that side of it very closely. That also complicated the situation a little bit, that Trisha began dating Ela's brother, where there was already, I think, some familial conflict. Not that that matters really too much to the story, but just that also was like an added layer of drama and sort of perverted.
I gotta find out what happens next on this show, you know?
Have you seen Schindler's List?
No.
You should watch that.
I feel like I got really sad when he said that, because we were watching The Producers and they had like Springtime for Hitler, and I was like, oh, that's cute.
This video isn't about Trisha Paytas, but I'm very confused about Trisha Paytas. I'll be honest. I know that it's not, obviously it's not all a character, because she's been this way like her whole online career, which has been basically her whole life. But some of it has to be a character, right? Some of it has to be leaning into pretending to have not seen stuff, because some of the stuff she says that she isn't aware of or hasn't seen is just like, how could you avoid that? Like these sorts of things come up in conversation all the time. But another boom cycle. I'm not going to get too much into the nitty gritty of why Frenemies failed. It's pretty self-evident if you look at this setup and you just look at the two people, why it failed. And to be honest, if you're interested, just go watch Frenemies or go watch some sort of recap or analysis of Frenemies or something like that. Go support some other creator that's made a video about it, because it was really interesting. It was kind of toxic, you know? It's kind of toxic like a lot of stuff that's interesting, but it was interesting. But there was, unfortunately, another bust cycle about to come. This could not last. The relationship eventually was torn apart, and so Frenemies could no longer go on. But after Frenemies, from the ashes of Frenemies, a phoenix arose. And that was a phoenix? And that phoenix was the leftovers. Get it? Like the Frenemies, the leftovers of the last podcast, the Frenemies, because Frenemies failed. Oh, and in case you didn't get it, Frenemies means friends and you got it.
That's right.
With me, welcoming to the H3 family and our $3 million set. We spared no expense. Hassan Piker.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
I'm ready to. Okay.
Great energy, guys. Great energy. Great chemistry. Your on-screen chemistry is electrifying. I feel the tingles from here. So from the ashes of Frenemies rose the leftovers. To be honest, I stopped really paying attention at the time of this stuff. I sort of looked back at this in retrospect a little bit. So this one was a podcast that was a little bit more politically oriented with his co-host Hassan Parker. Hassan Parker is like a far leftinos. That's that Megyn Kelly clip. I'm not just saying that for no reason. Hassan Parker is a far left sort of commie guy. So good for him. That's cool. Everybody knows that. Everybody knew that. He's like always been open and transparent about that. So he came onto this podcast as a co-host for Ethan, and Ethan framed it as like sort of a liberal who doesn't actually know that much about, like Ethan as a liberal who doesn't actually know that much about the nitty gritty of politics, speaking to a guy who is, you know, more to his left, who is very educated, because Hassan Parker streams about this stuff like 8 hours a day, every single day, and is constantly reading the news and is constantly reading about politics. And so it was supposed to be, to my understanding and from my memory, a situation where Ethan was open to learning new things and they were going to have good faith discussions and make fun of right-wing chuds, essentially. But he had to bust. But he just had to bust. You know, he had to bust. So from my perspective, from the outside, not really watching this was a very brief boom-bust cycle. I guess that does sort of tend to happen in like the capitalism boom-bust thing, right? So like booms and busts. The original booms go a long time and they're smaller. So this was a smaller boom-bust cycle. So this, I think, did kind of well at the start, but I think this one burned out fairly quickly as well, unfortunately. You wouldn't think this one would be as contentious as Frenemies, as difficult to maintain the situation, given that Hassan is, by all accounts, a more stable individual than Trisha, but it was not to be. So essentially what happened from here is they had this podcast for a little while. I think it did all right. And eventually they disagreed on an issue that was not really flexible for Ethan. Eventually they disagreed on Israel-Palestine. Hassan is a massive Palestine supporter, obviously, and Ethan says that he is a Palestine supporter, but he is also an Israel supporter. He lived in Israel for a large part of his life. His wife is from Israel. He has connections to Israel, and he feels a deep tie to Israel in that way. And he's very much of that camp of that, like, oh, when you just support Palestinians, you're somehow victimizing the Israelis. I think that's complete crap and nonsense, but that's his perspective. So when these issues came up on the show, these sorts of issues just couldn't be resolved. From my perspective, it's because Ethan is coming at it from a completely emotional perspective, and we'll see a little bit later that it gets pretty emotional, but this was the beginning of the big bust. This was the beginning of the final bust, the eternal bust, you might say. So from here on, Ethan's career is just pure chaos. There's ups and downs, but they're just like little microclimates of boom-bust cycles. They're tiny little boom-busts, and I've got to stop saying it. And it's just absolute chaos. And to my perspective, from here on out, Ethan just becomes a villain. He starts to slowly embrace that he's not really that good at maintaining these positive professional relationships, but he's pretty good at like attacking people and burning bridges. And his character sort of starts to change. So you saw in the earlier parts of this video, he was sort of this silly, happy-go-lucky guy who didn't take anything too seriously and defended copyright. Well, I mean, that's all going to change.
Why do we allow this? This should be illegal, and nobody cares. Somebody, please! It's insanely pathetic!
So we'll just start here, just looking at the podcast, the H3H3 podcast channel recent uploads. I think you can see there's some visual differences. I mean, one, Ethan Klein has lost a lot of weight. good for him, I guess. He doesn't seem to have become happier as a result. And you can see that the tones of the video, the tone of the video thumbnails is all very serious, very dour, very angry, very negative. There's a couple of smiling ones in here, it looks like. But for the most part, Ethan's content has swayed very negative, has swayed very angry, has swayed very bitter. And there's a lot of reasons for that. So one, there's all the burned bridges. Two, Ethan has sort of gone from a, fight for the little man, freedom of speech defender to the complete opposite of that. A guy who is now suing everybody. So this might not be a full complete list. This is just going off my memory. But since this whole sort of turn in Ethan's career, he has attempted to sue or sued the following people. So a woman called Frogan, a woman called Denims, a woman called Caseytron. These are all pretty small, like, content creator YouTubers who've made, like, basically reaction videos or call out videos about Ethan. And also a guy called Noah Samson. Those are the ones that I can remember where he's actively suing someone. So most of these he's losing. Caseytron, I think she just couldn't afford to fight the lawsuit, so they basically settled and she did, like, an apology. But any of the ones that actually go to court, he is losing. And funnily enough, like I mentioned earlier, Ethan Klein's own previous lawsuit of Klein versus Haas is actually referred to in some of the decisions that reject his suits. So he's gone kind of mad suing everybody. Internet doesn't really like it when you sue everybody. He's become very angry, very bitter. A lot of that, the reason I'm not really going into a lot of this in detail is because a lot of it is about the Israel-Palestine stuff. And I think Ethan is completely insane on this issue, but at the same time, it's difficult to talk about. It's very difficult to talk about because Ethan does say all the right things about Palestinians. He does say all the right things for the most part about needing to protect people. He does also say a lot of really disgusting things sometimes about minorities and Palestinians and groups like that. He does also support the military that is the one doing the invasion of, civilians. So it's difficult to talk about because he talks out of both sides of his mouth, right? The reason he sued Noah Samson is because Noah Samson includes him in a video that says these people support genocide. And you want to say that Ethan supports genocide because he supports the military and he supports the nation that is attempting to do genocide. But at the same time, he will give lip service to not wanting that to happen. And he will give lip service to wanting it to be like, as peaceful as possible, all the while still supporting the colonizers, the invaders, So that's why I'm not really going into the details, not showing lots of videos about this, because it's very emotional and very difficult to talk about. This video is really just emblematic of where, how, when he lost the plot. You can see.
Hi there. My name is Ethan Klein, and my favorite hobby is spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on lawyers. Today I invite you into my home to share my favorite pastime with you. Join me in creating generational wealth for my attorney.
So this is a video in which Ethan declares that he's suing these three creators, all three sort of very small female creators. Cool dude. Cool dude. My problem with this video, and especially the opening of this video, and I guess the framing of the entire video, is it would be funny if this was a parody. It would be funny if you were making fun of someone like this, but you're not. You are doing it. It is you. Do you see what went wrong there, Ethan? This is like sort of a typical early H3 opening to a video. If he was smiling a little bit, maybe this, and he looked a little different. I could believe that this was an early H3 opening to a video.
Hi there. My name is Ethan Klein, and my favorite hobby...
Like, if he didn't look genuinely deranged here and this wasn't actually what he was actually doing, he is actually burning the money on these lawyers, throwing it down into a complete trash pit and lighting it on fire, trying to sue people for reacting to his content. By the way, something that if he was successful in doing, he would set a new precedent that reacting to content and making commentary content is not legal, which would mean that like most of his content would have to go in the bin, go in the trash, ignoring that. This isn't a parody. This is you. So what, is it supposed to be funny? Am I supposed to be laughing at you? If I'm supposed to be laughing at you, why are you doing it? Why are you doing the lawsuit and spending the money? I don't get it. I'm just going to leave this picture here because this picture is actually basically just perfect. Like, he's trying to be funny. He's trying to do like a silly thing, but he's actually doing it. Like, he's actually in real life, he's burning the money. He actually looks kind of a little cooked. I'm just going to leave that there. So essentially, that eternal boom-bust cycle of H3H3 has sort of resolved into just an eternal hell. An eternal hell of, like, mostly bust. Most of the audience that he has left are, like, Destiny fans and complete racist freaks. He has, like, a lot of connections to Destiny. I'm not going to go into it because he gets really triggered when you talk about his connections to Destiny because he tries to keep them on the DL. And apparently, if you talk about anything that someone tries to keep on the DL, you're a valid target of lawsuits. I don't know. I just thought we were allowed to talk about stuff, but I don't know. I thought Americans were all about freedom of speech, but I don't know. Yeah, he is now just sort of resolved into this eternal hell where he is miserable and angry at everybody and blames everybody else for his problems all the time. He's constantly lashing out about a couple of like small situations that he was victimized of, you know, some online harassment, I don't mean to say small, like some online harassment, CPS stuff, this sort of stuff, some things that have happened to him. He's become completely obsessed with that. He's never been able to move on. It's turned him into this bitter, crazy old man. And really, he's just not fun to watch. Like, I've tried to get back into him a couple of times, tried to give him the benefit of the doubt, tried to check back in on what he's doing. And he's just always angry. He's always fidgeting. He does have Tourette's. I'm not trying to, like, say that this is anything about his Tourette's, but I think completely unrelated to his tics. His whole persona, his whole vibe, his whole energy has changed. I don't know if Tourette's can sort of make your whole... you know, your whole energy, the way you come across change. Everything about him is the polar opposite of what it used to be, and all the while he is blaming everyone around him and just lashing out at everyone around him and burning every bridge that he can burn. Among all of that, I missed out. He also was going to sue iDubbbz for iDubbbz saying some... Oh, iDubbbz... This is actually hilarious. He was going to sue iDubbbz because iDubbbz took like a tweet or a message or something that Destiny had written somewhere, and he like put it up on his stream. iDubbbz made an apology for it and he didn't proceed to sue him. But isn't that, like, what a sensitive little bitch you have to be to threaten to sue someone over showing someone... You're not even going to sue the guy who wrote it? Just the guy who showed it to people? Alright. I'm really annoyed I can't find it. I'm hoping I'll find it in editing or something later and I'll be able to insert it or something. But there's also a clip from Ethan's podcast, H3 podcast, where he is just like completely losing his mind and doing the whole, yep, I am the villain. Yep, I'm the villain. I'm the bad guy. I'm suing them all. Kind of thing. And again, it's like, this would be funny maybe if it weren't true. It weren't actually what you're doing. I think somewhere along the way, along the line, he lost track of what a joke is. You're not supposed to actually like do the jokes, guy. Most jokes are like silly fantasies that we don't actually like pursue. To finish off this video, there's something I want to touch on really quickly. I don't know how this stuff happens. I really don't know how this stuff happens, but there's like a cottage industry of very, very, very small YouTubers making videos defending every single thing Ethan says and like attacking anybody that he attacks. So like when he announces another lawsuit against another small woman YouTuber, then there'll be a flood of videos all saying that she's cooked, she's done, Ethan's gonna destroy her, and then, you know, inevitably she wins the lawsuit and those people just don't say anything. I don't know how this happens. I don't know how you get these loyalists to go out there and defend anything you say, no matter how ridiculous it is, no matter how much of a sensitive crybaby it makes them seem. One of the things that Ethan got really upset about along the way was iDubbbz made a video making fun of Ethan, and in that video he held up an Ichigo Bleach sword, a sword from Bleach. And that sword has I think it's called a manji on it. It's like a swastika, but like the original and different from Japan. I think it's like a Buddhist thing. And the Ichigo sword is like one of the most ubiquitous everywhere swords on the planet, especially before like Demon Slayer and that sort of stuff. Like that sword is just everywhere. It's absolutely everywhere. Hassan just happened to have it along with other swords in his room, and they picked it up and they used it. I think anyway, it's just a sword, right? It's just an anime sword. It's a very silly, innocent anime sword. Ethan somehow became a victim of that. Ethan turned that little thing, because it happens to look a little bit like a swastika, and he then turned it, everything any of these people ever say about me is now anti-Semitism. When you perpetually make yourself the victim of absolutely everything that happens, you will perpetually forever be a victim, and you will be unhappy and sad, and unfortunately, that is where Ethan finds himself these days. He finds himself in just this perpetual chain of misery where he makes himself a victim of absolutely everything that happens, and he just cannot be happy, and he puts out miserable content, and he attracts miserable fans, and he puts himself further and further into a miserable echo chamber. So that's it. That's the rise and fall of Ethan Klein. I hope I can edit this into something that resembles a good video. I hope you enjoy being here. I hope you like, comment, subscribe. Please do all of it. I found out that when I ask you guys to just do one of those things, you just do one of those things, and I actually get kind of like a little bit bummed out that then I have no comments if I ask for subscriptions, or that I have no likes if I ask for comments. This is a me problem. If you don't want to do any of it, just skip this part. You know, it's the end of the video, whatever. Leave. Don't leave. But just, you know, help me out. I'm starved for attention. I'm stuck in this washing basket. I cannot get out. The videos are the only way I can communicate with the outside world. Please just give me whatever attention I can get. You can give me. Donate it. May I ask for a cup of attention? Please. I just moved in. Thank you anyway. Goodbye.